What's up, YouTube? Today we're talking about alexithymia, why some people feel their emotions after the fact, and how to understand yourself a little bit better if you struggle with this. If you're new here, my name is Dr. Kojo Sarfo. I'm your Hollywood mental health expert, actor, comedian, writer. I'm a doctorally prepared mental health nurse practitioner who helps you understand yourself a little bit better through social media, and I hope this video helps you out. So today we're going to be talking about alexithymia. So first of all, let's just define what that is. Alexithymia, in my words, is often summed up as emotional blindness or not knowing what you're feeling in a particular moment. This is something that a lot of neurodivergent individuals struggle with, and it's confusing because people will ask you questions and people often expect answers in the moment. So if you're talking to somebody just out and about, keep in mind we live in a neurotypical world and you are being judged off neurotypical standards. So anything that doesn't fall in line with that is going to be seen as weird. And you're not weird. I'm neurodivergent, so I understand how this is, but you're not weird. It's just a difference of communication. So if you're out and about and somebody's asking you a question about something and you don't know how to feel in the moment, you're going to feel like you're dumb. You may feel like you're incapable, or you may just feel like your mind is going blank. And this is because you are struggling to process the information in real time. This doesn't come from a lack of comprehension, or it doesn't come from a poor IQ. It's more so of you not really understanding how to feel in that moment. There's a disconnect between your emotions and where you are. And some people who do have a bit of a better handle on their emotions don't know how to fully process it. So you're not sure how to respond to certain things. So let's say we're talking about a recent event. I'm here in California and we've had a lot of wildfires. So if somebody asks you, you're out and about, they say, hey, what do you think about the fires in California? Let's say you're living in Oklahoma and you don't know much about this topic. You may feel societal pressure to answer and say a certain thing, even though you don't know how you feel in the moment. So you may say, oh, it's awful, it's a tragedy, and I think that people should X, Y, and Z, because you feel the pressure of having to speak up. But maybe you don't know how you feel about that particular topic because your processing of emotions is a little bit delayed. I see this a lot in neurodivergent individuals, and often what happens is you experience a certain thing. And of course, trauma is unfortunately a big part of who we are as neurodivergent people. So we experience trauma, and sometimes we experience trauma over and over and over. We call that CPTSD, which is trauma sustained over time. But you experience these things and you're not able to quite understand what's going on. So you might experience a certain thing in April of a certain year. And by September, October, November, that's when you're in a headspace to fully process what happened and how you feel about a certain thing. So let's say it's something as minor. And this is not minor, but as minor. I'm trying to talk in neurotypical speak. Something as minor as not being invited to somebody's birthday party. In April of last year, a good friend of yours, for some reason, didn't invite you to their birthday party. And you felt hurt, you felt pain, but you couldn't quite understand how you really felt about the situation. So let's say you continue to hang out with this person every single day, every other week, and nothing really changed. But you got to September of that year and you were able to finally process what was going on. And after arriving at a conclusion and understanding how you felt about the situation, you may have chosen to step away from that friendship. You may have realized a couple of things and told yourself, all right, this is not somebody that I want to be friends with anymore. I just don't want to continue this friendship. I don't feel like this is a safe space for me. And I don't feel like there's that reciprocity. But because you couldn't quite feel or understand how you felt in that moment, you kept making decisions based off of either what you thought you had to think or the fact that you just hadn't processed what had happened. So you're just making decisions because we have to make a decision in their typical speak. When somebody asks you something, you kind of have to come up with an answer. It's not acceptable to say, I don't know. I wish it was. I wish somebody could ask you a question and you could say, hey, I don't know how I feel about that in this moment, but Give me some time and I'll get back to you. Just taking a beat, just taking a moment, just taking a second to pause. And not literally, because we may need more than just a few seconds, but just taking a beat to pause and to understand yourself. And I believe that one of the reasons why a lot of neurodivergent individuals struggle with alexithymia is because we're processing things on a neurotypical playing field. We're being forced to communicate this way, but we have our own way of doing things. But because we're masking so much, we're agreeing with the opinions of the group, we're going along with so many things that aren't native to who we really are. There's this disconnect between who we are, who we want to be, and how we see ourselves in that current moment. And it presents us a lot of mental confusion. So a lot of things are jumbled up here, and we need to slow things down so we can really understand how we feel at a particular moment in time. So when alexithymia is described as emotional, that's my ALEXA, Amazon Alexa. But what I was saying is when alexithymia is described as emotional blindness, I see it to be some sort of temporary emotional blindness, and not the fact that you don't know how to process your emotions or you're blank, but just more so that you're trying to process things with your brain in a world and an environment that is not set up for our success. If you're neurodivergent, if you've been keeping up with my content, you know my whole spiel on this. When you're neurodivergent, you have to rig your environment. You have to put a couple of things in place in order to allow you to thrive in a neurotypical world. And this, if this is your first time watching this video, this probably sounds like Chinese or a whole different language. And in some ways it is, a different language. There are different languages that we have. We do things a certain way when we're neurodivergent and when you're neurotypical. There's that standard of how things are expected to be. And with social media and with things happening so fast, I believe that we're exposed to an overabundance of information. So much is being thrown at us, and we're expected to just have an answer right away. And even for your average neurotypical person, they probably would struggle with alexithymia from time to time because they may not know what to think or what to say in a certain situation. But I believe that when you're neurodivergent, that delay may be a bit longer, or all the micro traumas, I don't want to say micro, but all the traumas that have happened to you over time, you get to a point where maybe 5 years down the line, you think back and you realize, oh my goodness, I actually never got over any of the bad things that happened to me. I'm still angry about all those things that happened to me because you didn't have a chance to really grieve. You didn't have a chance to really feel because either you sped past it too fast or you didn't understand what was going on and you didn't have a chance to really pause and figure out how you feel about a certain thing. So I do believe alexithymia, or emotional blindness, temporary emotional blindness, could be something that a neurotypical person could experience. But most definitely, when you're neurodivergent, it's something that is part of what we go through because we're being forced to communicate on neurotypical terms. And within that playing field, we're going to have to rig our system a little bit so we can understand things and we can truly answer with answers that are reflective of who we are and what we feel. Not how we feel in that moment, because we may not know how to feel in that moment, but we can give answers based off of who we actually are and how we actually feel about a certain thing. So understand that if you struggle with this, first of all, there's no shame in struggling with this. I struggle with this from time to time. And what I do is when I don't have an answer for something, I just like to say, hey, I don't know. Let me get back to you on that. Hey, actually, oh, that's a great question. As of right now, I don't know what to think about that. But when I have an answer, I'll let you know. And there's so much power in saying I don't know. There's so much power, but you got to keep in mind that in a neurotypical world, there are still things that will be asked of you that people will expect an answer right there and then. One good example I can think of is whenever there's an election. When people say, hey, Who are you voting for? A lot of times people don't share that. But if you're talking to your close friends and it's the day before the election and people are like, oh, did you know who you vote for? Like, who are you going for? It's highly unacceptable, at least in the United States of America, to say, you know what? I thought about it a lot, but I just don't know who to go for. Like, is it okay if I don't vote? And if you tell people, oh, I didn't vote, people will say, oh, no, that's the most un American thing. And it's not the fact that you are just throwing away your American right to vote, but it's the fact that you may not know what to think in a specific moment. And I wish that I don't know was more of an acceptable answer. And perhaps the way to make it a more acceptable answer is to say, I don't know more. So hopefully this video is a start, allowing us to return back to who we are and making it okay for us to say, I don't know. And speaking up for ourselves and saying, hey, as of right now, I don't know. I'm not too sure, but I'm working on it. And as I know more about how I feel about this situation, I will appropriately answer. So it's going to take some speaking up for ourselves, but just understand that there's nothing wrong with not knowing how you feel in a particular moment. And as you advocate for yourself, you will feel more autonomous. You will understand your emotions a bit better. And most importantly, you'll take out that pressure, that societal demand to blurt out answers, to give a response right away. And you'll take it easy and you won't judge yourself for not having things right away. So hopefully this video helps out. I know that I've had to do a lot of work on myself to make it okay for me to not have all the answers right away. And as I say, I don't know more. As I say the word no more, it allows me to practice boundaries and it helps me speak up for myself. And I hope that that's what you do after watching this video. So use the comment section down below to let me know what you think about it, what you want the next video to be about. Like I always say, I'm so grateful for you all here on YouTube. Making these videos for y'all is super fun. And on top of that, I'm part of the community too. So this, like, we're all family here. This is all family. We're learning, we're having a great time, and we're gonna keep this thing going. So until next video, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all then.